Oh, wow.
We're live. Hope everybody is hanging in there in this season of solar flares. I'm super excited. My name is Dr. Sharnael Wolverton. I'm here with Megan Rose, of all the people in the world. I'm so excited to be with her today. And we have a few things to cover. We actually titled this The Latest Gossip, and I put a question mark because we're going to talk about the science of gossip and kind of like just some things that people may be not aware of, or maybe they are, and it's a good reminder. And then we're actually going to talk about solar flares and what is actually going on in the earth and how it affects people. And yeah, so before we get started, Megan, I want to say hi and welcome. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Yes. Well, our last interview that we did, we were talking about the subject of intuition. And one of the things that we were going to talk about on that is gossip and how that is such a low vibration energy and how it can be a block to actually receive high level intuition and hear from God or hear from source or understand directions from within if we are participating in on any level some type of gossip, whether it's like allowing yourself to listen to it, putting your eyeballs on it, whether it's like television or social media or anything like that. But there, because there's an actual energy to it, and it's a thing that sucks you in and to those lower levels, and you can kind of like get stuck in there and not be able to come up to hear what's the good stuff, what's the truth, what's really going on. I'd love to have you add your information, your piece, and your understanding of that.
Well, I think people like today were like programmed almost into that frequency. Like when you go to the grocery store, there's the gossip magazines. The entire thing of Hollywood is programmed for gossip and people's personal lives and putting that on display. And I actually was thinking like earlier today before we were doing this because I was brainstorming. They studied in during World War II, where I can't say the word on YouTube, but it starts with an I, ends with an starts with an N, ends with an I, and it has to do with Germany. The Germans scientists studied how the brain works in sociology and did studies about gossip and how to reel people in and how we relate to that negatively, right? And then they built Hollywood on top of that, and three-letter agencies got involved. So it's like this whole big thing, especially in America, where we're programmed to basically be sucked into gossip and negativity. And what it really does is it's a distraction from ourselves and our purpose. And yeah, it's a big whole thing.
Well, it's literally bait, right?
Yeah.
And now my dog is barking. Speaking of science, which you were mentioning, the news specifically is entrainment of beta waves, which is fight or flight. So they spit that out through the TV, and if you get to where you're watching it, and especially in your sleep, like if you go to sleep with the TV on, there's an entrainment that happens awake or asleep. But just think about someone who is going to bed with the TV with the news on or has it on all day in the background. I know people that like keep it on like constantly just for noise, not necessarily even watching, but they may be in the kitchen or whatever, and it's one of the terrible news channels that are just like fear, 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 fear. And that is literally at a beta wave, which changes our waves in our brain and gives us the inability to even connect with theta or delta if you're sleeping, or all the other things that would give us that ability to restore our bodies, to be able to refresh our cells, to, if you're sleeping, hopefully that not necessarily during the day, but and theta is like creativity. And so the beta hook of like even turning on the vision, it's like, whose vision is that? And I have a whole teaching on that from like 2008 that I was wondering, like, what did I even say back then? I don't remember, but and I think it's gotten amped up, don't you
Yeah.
think?
I think so too. And I think like the mainstream narrative, and now it's entered the truther community where you have all this people's conjecture and opinions about other people. Everyone's trying to find the truth, but you can't find the truth by defining another person. You can only get your truth by learning who you are and defining yourself. So it's a complete waste of time. And that's actually how psychological operations are run, by taking a figure. I can use Donald Trump for an example. Someone who was positioned as the president of the United States, and basically propaganda was started about his personal life, personal relationships. Do we know? There's probably very little truth to it, but it was used as a distraction from what he was actually doing, right? And that's run by 3-letter agencies specifically. So yeah, that's what I think. And I wonder if, because we're so addicted to the gossip, and you have shows like, Real Housewives and all of that, if our brain releases certain chemicals when we click on those links, and it's like getting coffee or having a cigarette, it's literally like a chemical reaction.
It is an addictive thing for sure. And even like titles of stuff, like, which is why I titled this The Latest Gossip, because I knew people were going to click to see what are they going to say, and there is an addiction. So I wasn't trying to trick anyone, but I was also like making a point that there's a science to this. And the news and the media, all of them, they actually know what works and know what sells. And ratings, unfortunately, are really high for fear kind of things. And
Yeah.
I'm always wondering, like, what would it be like if the actual news or social media was only allowed to post like positive things, like, the fireman who saved the cat out of the tree, or got someone out of the burning building, or like, if we were all watching that and just saying like, oh my gosh, and seeing humanity in a loving way modeled and walked out, and something for the kids to see and families to see, how much different do you think that the world would be with all of that?
Well, I think it would be easier for people to manifest that because that's what they're actually seeing visually, right? Like right now, everything, I think the best thing to do a lot of times, if it doesn't bring you peace, is just to turn it off. Because otherwise, it's like you said, television, you're looking at something, you're going to create it unless you can disconnect from it and create from within. So, and that goes back to their experiments that they did on us. They know how our brain works, they know how we create our own reality, and they've done it forever. Let's fix it. Let's get it over with. But I think also, like, if the news and if the TV like emitted positive frequencies, our brains would be trained in those brain waves, right? So it would be easy, like all the illnesses would go away, are like, because your brain reflects the rest of your body, it tells it how to work, right? There would be no depression, anxiety. It would be, and it's simple technology, it's Tesla technology.
Yeah, they use it in Montauk actually, and some of the other places where they had radar. And when they did these tests with these radar satellites, they would even point it at animals in the forest, and then wild animals would just come in town and just sit in the middle of the yard like zombies and not realize like that they're there, or wonder why they're there. And people would just be like, "What's going on with all the animals?" And crime would go up, and there was all kinds of things that happen. And you're absolutely right. We are creative beings. We're Imagineers. And to image a nation is to focus on things and then use our creative power with our biofield to not only radiate it out, but magnetize it back into us and into our world and create our own reality. So if they can't force you or me or somebody else to do something terrible, then if they can shift our focus to focus on something negative or fearful or whatever, change our brain chemistry, change our immunity, change our metabolism just by some pictures, just by images, then they don't have to do anything, because we're going to be the ones that create for them without them having to force any hands to do anything. And it's brilliant on their part. it sucks, but yeah, you're right. It's the biggest MK Ultra like that they've been running for years and years and years, and
Yeah.
so not fun at all. But yeah, I love what you're saying about the three letters, because this, this isn't something that God is doing for sure. I mean, obviously, Source has vision, and we know truth within, and the more inner work that we can do, and like you said, turning it off. I mean, so Allie's on here. She's asking, well, what about YouTube? What do you say about that?
I would just not watch it. If it confuses you, if you're not sure, it doesn't matter if the truther or whoever you're watching is connected or telling the truth. If it's confusing you, then you're outside of your center and you're not seeing it clearly. So I would just turn it off. I don't even watch a lot of YouTube at all. I mean, a couple shows every now and again, but mostly the most information that I ever get is in meditation or comes from being quiet outside. That's where I get my messages, and that's what is most valuable to me. And half the time when I do like spiritual advice videos, I say meditate like at least 3 times in them. you
Yeah,
know,
I do like binary beats, or I'll get like 528 megahertz or 888, which is miracles. Different ones that are out there. That's the only thing on YouTube that I kind of listen to, unless it's one of your shows or some of the other things that I do tune into, because that
yeah,
would be a positive thing. That would be something that's bringing truth, that's bringing inspiration, that's bringing something that is heartfelt and uplifting. Um, you know what I mean? They're anything, whether it's TV or not, can be used for good or for bad. It's
yeah,
about what's the intent of the person who's bringing that information out.
yeah.
Um, and laughter is a big deal. Like laughing.
I freaking love laughing.
One thing, one
And
thing, me and your friend is like, we go back and forth. We can be like crying, and then you'll send some witty comment or whatever, and I'm rolling instantly. It's like, oh my God, thank you. But
I'm always laughing. I laugh to myself a lot and I probably look crazy, but I don't care. But yeah, like on YouTube, I think one of the sad things that has made me sad, because I think originally people were turned off from the mainstream media. So we're like, all right, we're going to create our own truther movement on YouTube, right? We're going to have like our own thing on Rumble, BitChute, and post our own information. And then it comes to a point where you see these other truthers using these platforms that they created to bash other people or start rumors about other people. And this is something that's happened to me quite a lot in like the last 6 to 7 months. And that's a distraction, right? It could be a 3-letter psyop, it could be anything, but mostly, I think most people can agree, it's a distraction from finding who we are, finding the actual truth, and returning to our own sovereignty. And I think it's sad. It's made me sad.
my dogs are barking in this, so I keep on having to mute. But what I agree with you 100%. And I think there's a lot of energy on division,
Yeah.
even within YouTube. So going back to Ali, she's asking if it's controlled by beta waves. Um, Only like the main, like a real show, not a real show. I mean, all of these are real shows, but something that's orchestrated from MK Ultra would be conformed like the news, with beta waves, or any kind of scary movies or concerts and things like that can definitely go into that lower vibration. But we're going back to the whole division, even within the truther community. What I find absolutely annoying beyond is, and I don't know about you because I know you're not on Facebook, but
Yeah.
Messenger in general, I get like 100 messages only of people sending me links
Yeah.
to whatever someone is saying about someone, or whatever the newest thing is, or what, and then they're asking, well, what do you think about her? Or sometimes they're not even asking, they're just like, watch this. And I find it just absolutely strange that people would send me so many links. Like, why are they sending me these links? Like, I don't know. And usually when I get these links, I will respond and be like, did you mean to send this to me? And then they're like, well, I had this week. So I could give you an example. This lady responded and said, well, I just thought that you might want to listen to this. And I'm like, you know what, please, no, I don't, but thank you so much. And also please stop sending me links. And so like 2 days later, she sends me another link about two people, whatever, fighting and stuff like that. And I said to her again, did you mean to send this to me? In other words, we talked about this.
Yeah.
And her response was, well, I just thought that you would want to know what's going on in the world, as if to say, like, I don't know what's going on in the world and that I can't figure things out on my own, or that I don't have, an ability to get information if I wanted it. And usually some of these links that people are sending me, I don't care. I don't want to listen to this. I don't want to watch it. It's not where I'm at. And so what do you say? Do you get a lot of messages where people are constantly like asking you, what about this? And what about that? And what do you think about this person? And all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but it's not what I think about other people. It's about me. Like articles, YouTube videos of people saying stuff about me. Is it true? Is what this person said is true about you? If it didn't come from me, then there's no way, like, and it's negative, then it's not about me, it's about that person. So a lot of times when people say, talk about somebody else, universal law, you can only define yourself through your words or actions, right? So that's a reflection of that person. And I have a free will and I have a right to define myself through my words or actions, right? So there's that saying, a tree will be known by its fruit, that kind of thing. But people send me stuff all the time, and yeah, I honestly find it a little bit annoying because I feel that I try my best to post stuff with a good intention, keep my energy clear, and I feel like, it should be obvious who I am by the way that I present myself or the way that my energy comes across, right? But then people sometimes are seeing a mirror of themselves within me too, and that's kind of where we're at. So if there's also personal accountability for your own energy fields that comes into play, and basically you spreading something, that's, you have to hold yourself accountable for that.
Yeah, I even in this case where the lady, I was like, you know what, and all love, can you please stop sending me these links? She was actually really mad and came back and was like, you know what? I'm sorry. I was just trying to help, but it looks like we don't have anything in common anyway, and I'm just going to block you. Bye bye. And I was just like, oh my God. I was just saying, I don't want to, it's like you and a whole other 1 million people want me to listen to their stuff or their links too, and gauge in and, give input on things. I don't know. I mean, I got 5 kids, 4 dogs, 5 cats. I'm running multiple businesses. I'm doing, 30 consultations a week. I have my own patients, and then I'm doing spiritual stuff. I'm doing interviews. I don't really choose to engage in gossip or division or anything. And then, this, I like the scriptures in some sense as a guide. And I know that there's a lot taken out and there's a lot translated incorrectly. But one of them is, whatever you give ear to will be given unto you. And so if you give your ear to gossip, then someone will absolutely gossip about you. And so why engage? Why put your eyes on it? Why put your ears in it? Why let your body receive that? And your limbic system, going along with science again, your limbic system is behind your frontal lobe. Your limbic system cannot tell the difference between me and you. And it can't tell the difference between giving an opinion about someone versus receiving an opinion. It can't tell the difference between, if I gave you money, then it takes on like you're receiving money. So there's no separation in the limbic system. So every time there's a judgment or anytime that you're engaging in gossip, you're actually setting yourself up to make your body feel as if it's being gossiped about. and that messes up your ability, your brain chemistry, your intuition, your digestion, your metabolism. It causes you to get gray hair. It causes you to wrinkle and dehydrate. There's all kinds of science behind gossip and engaging in gossip. So, say anything about that. I'd love to have your feedback on that part.
Well, I was going to say too, like if you're the person who starts a rumor, then you're responsible for all of the energy and every single person that spreads it, their energy field, it's all going to come back to you. So it's like really weaving a tangled web for yourself if you start speaking about someone and it becomes a huge like energy vortex. It's all eventually all of that energy is going to come back to you. So you've created that mess basically for yourself. And that's part of energetic law too. And I think it's a reflection, like if you're using a platform to disparage somebody else, that's a reflection of that person's unresolved pain and trauma. Always. Like I would never be like, hopefully, like nothing would ever possess me to get on my YouTube channel and be like, this person's this and this person's that, you know? And because I know I would be responsible, but I'm just not that person. But because I'm responsible for my own healing, right? There was something else I was gonna say, but I had a brain fart. I forget.
Um,
Oh,
Go ahead.
I was saying too, like people in the public eye, and I think a lot of YouTubers, like people think that YouTubers are celebrities, but we're not. Like we're just on a screen and we're like regular people. And, you know, there's been a lot of gossip about me. And I've had two of my best friends I've been friends with since like the fourth grade. And I've known them for like at least 15 years. And some of the stuff, like we've laughed at a lot of the stuff that's been said about me because they know me personally. And it sounds so silly and ludicrous if you ever actually met me. Like it's kind of goofy, right? But I mean that's a good way to, you know, kind of laugh about it. But yeah.
Well, I think it's like people are bored. Maybe they just don't have enough going on in their life that they have to feel they got to jump in someone else's situation and somehow feel a part of it. Or and
Yeah.
then when there is that division too, it always puts like the kids in the middle to kind of it's an illusion. No one has to pick a side.
Right.
We all could just block it out and not go anywhere. But when there's different people who are all going against each other and it is public, then people for some reason feel like, well, I'm on your team or I'm on your team or she said that or I said that, and then it brings this it just amplifies and gets bigger and grows, and that isn't the best. And I think too with social media, a lot of people will say things on a computer in their home, like just like maybe after a couple drinks, more than they would if you were standing in front of that person, eyeball to eyeball, feeling their biofield, understanding their life, and like, saying mean things. It's like trolling or, making bad comments. It's like, would you really do that? Like standing in front of me, would you say that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like a little too easy to just like spout off some, mean comment. Or what I really see too is, whether it's a quick share is like, oh, look at this, oh, look at that, and or going on to other people's pages or YouTube, videos and commenting. Like, I just wouldn't ever think of going somewhere on someone else's public page and like typing, well, I don't agree with you, blah blah blah, you're a this or you're a that, or I don't like you, or just I don't like your hair, or
Yeah.
whatever the thing is. It's just like, oh wow, like I that just doesn't even come in my mind to go fight with people for,
Yeah.
and be contention and bring someone down that way. But or even use my own platform to like talk shit about anyone else. It's like, why? Like this is just it's so weird. But yeah.
Yeah. It depends on your, you know, your intention in posting a video and making a post. And I think people forget that they just do things so quickly, they're not observant or self-aware of what their intention is. And if you're aligned with your life purpose, then there's no reason to be talking about other people because you would know it's a complete waste of time. and you only have so much energy, and if you're in service to other people, then you need all the energy you can to do that, right? But I do think it is so true. People, like typing behind a computer, they have like big balls,
Yeah, but it's like, you know what? Come over to my house and say that to my
Yeah,
face with like my 5 kids standing behind me and my husband, and seeing the life that I have. Or it's just like there's a lot more empathy, I think, or
yeah,
compassion. I don't know what the real word is, and less courage to say something. So you would never walk over to the grocery store and be like, your checkout lady, your glasses look like shit on you. I don't know why you're wearing those glasses, and what about that zit on your face? Or
yeah,
people say like, oh my god. And then let's talk about sickness too. Like, I write about this in my book, The Science of Miracles, about the entire process about how social media has been socially engineered to either be used for really good and or bad. And the average person has about 200 followers or friends, whatever you want to call them, depending on which platform it is. So let's say you have a sickness, and someone in your family is sick. If you post that person like in a hospital, let's say, with all the tubes coming out and the IVs and like open wounds or whatever, and like put, please send prayers for Johnny going through this, then all your 200 friends see that. And then your friends, it shows up in their feed. And then all of their 200 friends, it'll show up in their feed. So all of those people are locked in to holding the image of Johnny in this like weak, vulnerable, kind of not great space that we're holding that image for. And that is not a good energy to hold for any human, of locking them into some sick, literally sick vibration of dis-ease, versus taking the time, finding a really cute picture and their vibrancy, posting that and going, you know what, please, if you could send good vibes, or just posting, send good vibes for Johnny. Lots going on and we could use some backup. Please send victory prayers or something in the positive. So that's the last thing on the screen, and that people are holding that and seeing that. It's like, I don't want to look at like car wrecks. I've seen people post like mangled up cars and, yep, just got out of this wreck, blah, blah, blah. We're on our way to ER, blah, 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 cancel clear. And I'm like, I don't know if people understand the power of imagery and how social media can collab with all of that and multiply it and bring a cross pollination. You want to
yeah.
speak to that?
Yeah, well, speaking of images, when I would do readings for people and their loved ones would come forward, sometimes the person I was reading for had that last image of them being sick, or maybe they found them like after they had passed away, and spirit would always be like, let go of that image of me, remember me happy and healthy,
Wow.
and it's because that is linked to trauma and the grief, and it's the same exact thing with social media. And I also think what a lot of people don't realize is that there's a lot of unseen negative influences that are feeding off of this energy of gossip and fueling it too. There's a lot of entities that are sucking energy from all of us. And I remember like last show we did, you talked about people's energy fields being inverted. And so people are going on the internet looking to grab energy from other people. And that's specifically why, like, I don't watch stuff that is posted about myself, and I don't keep up with the haters. They can keep up with me. But it's because it's something trying to grab a hold of my energy and drain my energy and distract me and take me off my purpose. And a lot of, that's how entities work, is they grab onto your energy field and they influence your actions, your thoughts, your words, with work with your trauma and pain, and then you in turn go on the internet and start and try to hurt other people, and it's the whole cycle of trauma. And they learned that in the MK Ultra experiments too, you know.
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought that up, because I do biofeedback scans and I can tell if there are entities by one of the reports that I have. And and entities themselves are usually 25 or less on megahertz. And us as humans, we're 67 megahertz on a healthy adult day, but we can get lower by, certain foods or listening to certain shows or listening to certain music or even like images, drinking, recreational drugs, all of that will drop our energy. And when you get below 67, that's when you open yourself up to sickness or dis-ease. And what's fascinating is when you hit, you don't even go to zero when you die. You hit 25, and that's death. And it takes 3 weeks to ooze down to that zero mark. But entities can come in the 30s and in the 40s. And so you're right. If you participate in gossip or anything negative vibe, I mean, name all the things, then you're right. The field has like Swiss cheese in it.
Yeah.
And that's where they have legal entrance. You're giving permission by that participation for them to come in. And then you're right. They hook in, and then it causes a lot of confusion. They could be speaking to you. They can have voices. They can try to get you to do things that you would never do, and you think it's your own voice,
Right.
and you just think that you're, but you're literally channeling entities, and you're thinking you're saying what you're saying is the absolute truth because you're channeling, but it's like the wrong voice that's coming in.
Yeah. A lot of times I hear this, like someone will say something crappy about someone else and they'll be like, it's the truth. Right. And like, I'm speaking the truth or spreading gossip. This is the truth. And you might feel it's the truth because you have an entity attachment that sometimes they can feel very powerful. I think it can be confusing for people, but demonic forces can be very powerful when they overtake you like that. So some people might be very confident in spreading negativity because they're confused and they feel like it is the truth. So can be confusing, but that's why it's important to disconnect from all of it and find your center, find your truth. And I just think that with all of that, like we're being distracted, like now more than ever. The world will still go on, and like the truth of like the society we lived in will still like be revealed, whether we're tuned in to whoever's talking on YouTube or not, right? Like it will happen. So it's okay to disconnect from it and find out who you really are, you know?
Yes, I totally agree. And, the inner work is what is going to raise the vibration. And, going back to our very first interview of, tapping into intuition, the biggest way to increase your own intuition is to do exactly what you just said. And, just turn it off, avoid it, block it, um, I either don't respond, or I'll put them in like a timeout, or I'll block them, or I'll just be really kind and say, hey, can you please not send this to me anymore? And, sometimes people are really upset by that. They're offended by my request. And it's like, do I not get to, ask you to stop sending me, shit, trauma, division, bullcrap? Or I don't have to put up with that. I don't have to listen to that. So if they're offended, if any of you have got those messages from me, so sorry. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just trying to stay clear. And, there's a lot going on in the world enough to navigate, to go upstream against so many things that are coming this way, and to just keep going straight. And so to add even more to it by participating and sending and listening and doing all that, it takes a conscious effort, would you say?
Yeah, and like I'm going to sound cheesy, but like when I'm meditating, I connect with beings that project unconditional love. And I just know that if everyone felt that love, they would not waste like a second on those lower vibes. Like we would all be reaching to feel like what that actually feels like. And it
Yeah.
makes me sad because I feel like a lot of us maybe have never felt that, like that feeling from those higher energies. And so that's why I try my best to like reiterate that. But once we all feel that, I don't feel like this will be a problem anymore. How will like we as a society like kind of stay down in the dumps with the gossip and everything. But yeah, just
I'm curious.
learning.
I wonder where the word gossip even came from. I would love to, I'm going to look it up in a little bit and just maybe type it out here. But um, I would also love to really talk about these solar flares that are going on right now, and the effect that it can have on human beings and animals and technology and trees, weather, crime, all the things. I'm just going to read basically the 2nd of April. There were two major solar flares, and it takes about 3-4 days for it to kind of hit Earth. And then there's like an echo kind of thing, and it's happened a few times. But yeah, there was a huge M4 class solar flare. Um, and there was an M2 class solar flare within just a few days. And there's a lot of effects on that. I mean, it can be used for good, and it can also feel really interesting. But what some of the side effects or even side benefits, people having headaches, all of a sudden having some weird illnesses or dis-ease in the body, kidney stones, headache, crying, emotions coming up, anything that's in the DNA trauma wise can like seep up and go, okay, I just want people to be aware of this season that we're in right now, because of these solar storms, to not feel absolutely like a nutcase in the middle of it. If you're going through any of this, my technology went out. I know there's been people who've had like tech issues and animals acting weird. I talked to a sheriff yesterday, and he said he has written more warrants in the last 4 days than ever, that gangs are acting up and being crazy. There's just so much like heightened energies right now that I think sometimes maybe even myself can be like just feeling all the things and not really realizing. And then I go and I check on my app and go, what's going on with the Schumann? And here there was a 27-hour blackout on the Russian Schumann satellite, meaning that the energies were so high that it actually turned the satellite off. It was unable to work. And so, I know I've had my share of like weird things, but it can also be for us, because if there are things hidden like in the subconscious that we're not aware of and they do come up, it's like an opportunity to cry it out. Or, like I said in the last interview, some things will not come out any other way except tears. And I don't even know how many tears I have cried in the last 8 days. I mean, it is like embarrassing how I've had to take a little bit of a recess this week, and just said, like, you please like send me good vibes, because today I've cried 3 or 4 times. I'm going to cry right now talking about it. So tell
Yeah.
me your experience and a little bit of what you're thinking.
Well, I kind of look at it like the way that you do, like it's for us. So it's like a blast of energy, right? And it's a higher frequency. And so that hits your DNA and it brings up all the subconscious and your pain and trauma to the surface to be healed. And that doesn't look like healing, doesn't look like pretty. So I've been bawling like the last seven, same thing, like the last week. I mean, just crying like a crazy person. And it's all subconscious, past life emotions. And I'm like, oh my God, this is nuts. But at the end of the day, it is for healing. So it's good to get it out. But, and like you can, like you just gave all those examples, people will start to act nuts because it brings up the subconscious. And if you're not aware of it, you're going to consciously try and work it out. And that can look like aggression, anger, committing crimes, starting fights with people. Thankfully, I did none of those things. just I just cried, but like I remember like texting you, I'm like, I'm crying, I don't even know why. you know, and I really like what you turns me on to is the essential oils. And those also, you were saying, bring up emotions from the limbic system and are part of healing too. So I'm totally addicted to those and I've used those a lot, which have helped. But yes. Oh, you froze a little bit.
There we go. I have my rose out here. It's 320 megahertz. I know you love your rose. But
Okay.
yeah, I mean, anything that can help support the system in the middle of this. And what's really, really good, someone mentioned here, I have to look to see, is grounding. And if you are in like someplace surrounded with cement and tall buildings and you can't get to trees or ground, oils are a great way to do it, whether it's pine or myrtle or frankincense or grounding or any trees, that can, because you can put it on your body and it'll go right into the cell. So it's a way to ground from the inside out. I mean, I know there's all kinds of grounding devices out there. I definitely wear one when I go to bed. I know some people probably have like grounding sheet. I'd be curious what you guys use to ground. I would go outside. It's storming, but when I get a chance, I try to be outside or by the water or in the sunlight. That's all grounding. Animals are grounding. Animals are frequency. So grounding is really important when things are just like, it's just like, Epsom salt baths are really helpful in the middle of all this solar flare kind of stuff. But yeah, what oils are you using that are like helping ground you a little bit?
I used rose today, pine, cedarwood. I think I used those three. And then it's called Envision, but it's like a mixture. Yeah, I love pine. And I
Yes.
was gonna say also too, like, so I didn't go to the barn today to see the horses, but in which I find really grounding, just like love them.
Oh my God, I love the smell of a barn. I keep saying we need to have like a bottle of barn smell.
Yes. I just had a thought. This would have happened. This would have coincided with the solar flares. I went riding last week, and I went to get on my horse. He like whipped back, bit me. I was like, oh my God. So I got on him, and he we're riding and I'm trotting, and he almost throws me off. And it was probably literally the same, like very close to the solar flare. It was very recently. And I was what is going on? I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna die on my horse.
Let's see. Yes, but
But
horses are normally very grounding and they're such high
yeah,
frequency, but they can be affected by this too. The animals can be affected, and even though they're grounding vehicles, their job actually is to take our crazy energies and to break them up and to dissolve them for us. So
yeah,
that's a bit of a job. I've worked with a lot of animals that, when people will bring me their animal and say, hey, can you help me see what's going on and we can fix the animal? I will always say, well, let's look at you, because an
right.
animal will only take on what its owner is going through as a mirror to try to relieve and take away some of the stuff, which is, I mean, I've had a dog that actually took on my stuff and passed away, which I felt bad about now. And I'm like, and I didn't know, but yeah, your horse doing that, it's not uncommon for them to have side effects and, feel a little bit off as well.
It could have been me. He's probably like Megan's a lost cause. Just boot her. But the reason I thought of horses is because I didn't get to go to the barn today. So in my meditation, I imagine myself there, or I imagine myself outside, because your brain responds to it the same way, right? And it works exactly the same way. If you can imagine yourself in nature, that's why a lot of the guided meditations I do on my Patreon channel, I put people in nature, because it's the same grounding effects. And yeah, I'm trying to think if none of my other animals have acted strange, but I'll keep an eye out.
I had a cat that attacked me one time, just out of nowhere, and then when I looked, it was during a solar flare. Actually, it just ran up and did my lip, like scratched my lip, and I did not know that lips bleed so freaking much, but I had blood. It was just a little tiny cut, but so much blood came out, and it would never stop, like, bleeding. But yeah, animals can definitely have their ups and downs. They can be depressed. They can be like mine are barking like crazy, and they have been for a bit. Someone was talking about my cat, but yeah, going back to, there's a lot of people who are talking about frankincense, lavender, eucalyptics, Palo Santo, another frankincense. Yeah, definitely Palo Santo. And look, all the citruses like orange, lemon, any of those citruses, I drink them because why are you guys talking so much? They they have natural flavonoids in there, and so
Yeah,
if you can put them in like a tea or ceramic, don't put them in plastic. But if you could drink them with water, then flavonoids are what helps stop cortisol levels. So if you're in fight or flight or really stressed, it'll block that, so you're not swimming and basically just pickling in cortisol and getting more and more anxiety and stress in your body, and it affecting your metabolism and your you know digestion and everything else. So there's
yeah.
lots of different things that we can use to support us, that God has given us to help support us. I'm going to let you talk while they're just being assholes. Hold on.
I was just gonna say this is like slightly off topic, but like we're such a powerful species, like the way that our minds work, our bodies work, like we are so incredibly powerful. And well, this can go back to gossip. Like if we realized how powerful we were, we would never spread negativity because of our ability to manifest it. And nature has a way of healing too, so that's where the solar flares come in. Mother nature is also a consciousness. The universe, the galaxy, the solar system is also a powerful consciousness, and they give us gifts to help us heal. So yeah, I love essential oils, but I'm just like getting an energy boost too. Like I'm so excited for like where we're headed, and like as a human race, and like I don't know, just awesome to be on here with you and like all the people tuning in. So I don't know. I just feel good and happy.
I agree. I agree. And yeah, I think that if we anything that we can do, laughing, watching, funny things and laughing on purpose, being with people that are funny, getting into nature, because the code of that, that's going to change, your metabolism, your energy, your chemistry, your physiology, and that's going to help us to put us in a different state to be able to deal with all of the things externally. But also, if we're consciously, happy and laughing and have that different state, then that goes out into the field, and it not only radiates, but it magnetizes back in. So we're going to start attracting more funny people and more happy people and more upbeat people and more upbeat situations and opportunities. So it does take purpose, though, doesn't it? It takes like a choice, and
Yeah.
we get that choice. We don't have to make it, but we get to choose if we want to open up that email or answer that phone call or watch that show, or, you know what I mean? Like, talk
Yeah.
about conscious choice a little bit and willpower.
Well, I think like we all have choices, and that coincides with boundaries. Like you have not everyone, not all of us are on the same page, right? Like there are people who are going to like to gossip, do whatever they want. And so that's where boundaries come into play, and protecting your own energy and choosing, which frequency you want to be at. You may have to change your friend group, decide, like make conscious choices like this TV show isn't serving me. Ask yourself that, like, does this serve me? And if the answer is no, then let it go. You have to let stuff like that go before happiness, joy, new stuff that serves you can come into your life, right? And I think it's scary too, because a lot of us are programmed to really stay in the same place, and we don't like change. So we might be very comfortable with, maybe like eating fried foods every day, and it's not good for us and it's hard to change, but in the end it's not serving us, right? So that's where boundaries with yourself come into play. What will you allow for yourself, and how disciplined you are, and that kind of thing, and being accountable for yourself. But I love a good joke. Oh my god. I was When I was a nurse, I was always cracking jokes, and they may have been off color, but the unit needed a laugh, okay? And TikTok, I love TikTok videos because people post funny videos all the time. And what else do? I dance. Sometimes I don't know if my neighbors know this, but I will sit before I get out of my car. Sometimes I'll listen to a couple songs, and I'll dance in my car, and I'll also dance in the house. So those are two things that I like to do.
That's awesome. I love it. Yeah, people are putting in here. Someone mentioned gardening. Ali said something about stand-up comedy on purpose. I love stand-up comedy too. I mean, I will, if I'm ever having a thing, I will put on one of my favorite funny movies. I love, there's a movie called Ghost Town with Ricky Gervais, and he's like a medium, and he like sees all these dead people and stuff. And I mean, it is hilarious.
Yeah.
Steve Carell has a movie about, God, what is the name of that movie? But you know, anything to make me laugh. And then also, you're gonna laugh at this too. You're talking about dancing privately.
Yeah.
I have a playlist that is like a lot of funny rap, like rap and like high energy stuff. And I mean, even my husband was surprised because I put it on like a few weeks ago, and he was like, "Really? You're listening to that?" And I was just like, "It makes me happy. Like it, you know, it puts me in a state. You know, it just like changes my whole like everything." And so, you know,
Yeah.
music is huge of just, you
Yeah.
know, helping to bring up, you know, and listening to that music at night when you go to sleep. Like I love putting, like mentioned YouTube. I love putting on like a 528 or whatever at night and just like calming down, but also like this is programming into my body for in my subconscious for that whole 7-8 hours of sleeping. And that, brainwashing can be bad, but it can also be good. We can brainwash ourselves, and washing our brain every now and then isn't such a bad idea, especially with what's going on. And how better to do it with like laughter and fun and essential oils and megahertz and binary beats that are going to be positive, right?
Yeah, it's so funny you say that because I was dancing yesterday or last night and I put on Snoop Dogg, Drop It Like It's Hot. And I told my alien friends, I was like, are you guys listening to this song? You need to play it on your ships or whatever because it's great.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I mean, that like raised my vibe. Why not? But yeah.
Greg, thank you for helping me remember. You're right, Evan Almighty. That is when I was dealing with my health opportunity. Carlin, for you who are listening, I'm saying it, health opportunity. I watched that movie, Evan Almighty, like 10 times, and Ghost Town like 10 times. And
Yeah.
even recently, I'm watching Thomas John Backseat Seatbelt Psychic. I'm watching the Thomas John Experience. I'm watching Life After Death with Tyler Henry. Some of these other things that are just inspiring and activating my DNA for intuition, for being able to read better, to be able to get into that entrainment of intuition, of hearing God and hearing Source and moving in that realm. Even if I put that on and go to sleep, like those things are not only funny shows and happy shows and inspiring shows, and they make me cry because I'm so happy, but also it's an inspiration. It's a courage to be like, oh my God, we can do this. This is what we can do. I could do that. And it makes me want to go help hundreds of people, and it inspires me to want to help everybody. So do you have any favorite like Netflix or TV or anything that you watch that really gets you going?
I did watch the Tyler Henry show. I
What
liked
did
it.
you think?
I watched it. And yeah, it is inspiring. I love like it's feels good to like watch people heal. And yeah, it did make me want to go help people. I watch The Office a lot, and I've probably seen like I mean, I've seen probably every episode like twice, but I love that show. My favorite episode is when they do CPR on the dummy. And Dwight, I think he like cuts the face off of the dummy or something.
Puts it on, puts it on his head. Like, what's his name? The guy who eats people.
Yeah, like Jeffrey Dahmer or something. It's
No,
fun.
I love the one where they all throw up. I don't know why it makes me laugh, but they're all like throwing up spontaneously because Pam started throwing up and she's like pregnant. And then they're all like, they hear her or smell her or watch her throw up. And then everyone's grabbing a thing. And then there's another one, Four Christmases. That is another one I have watched. I never watched movies more than one time. And I've watched Four Christmases probably like 10 times also.
Yeah.
So, who are those guys that they do like it's not candid camera, but it's like they go around and they do pranks on not pranks, but
Is it Jackass?
no, I don't like those kind of shows because people get hurt and
Yeah.
people laugh, and I'm like, that's not funny to me. I just
Yeah.
don't. I don't think that. But I'm trying to find. There's like 4 dudes who have been friends since like high school.
Mhm.
Help me. I don't know. Somebody's probably knows what I'm talking about. But
I
that
can't.
was another thing that I found during my healing thing, and I taped them all. And if there was anything, I was just like, I'm gonna program myself to laugh on purpose. I have the willpower to do that. And going back to willpower, do you know that willpower is 400,000 times stronger than spirit? We can
Wow.
actually override spirit with willpower. We can override entities with willpower. We can say no, and we can choose what's going in and what we're taking in. And I found that out because when I was going through my healing stuff, I kept having these reoccurring dreams, and I kept hearing, "It's time to meet Will. It's time to meet Will. It's time to meet Will." And I was like, "Who's Will?" And back then I was doing conferences everywhere, and I was like, I called my PA and I was like, "Are we going somewhere where a guy's named William or Will or something? Like, who's this Will person?" And
Mhm.
they're like, "I don't think so. I don't see anything on the books." I'm like, "Do I have a consultation with anyone, Will?" And they're like, "No." And then I go to my doctor, Dr. Lucky, and he basically gives me this clipboard, and I'm hooked up to these machines. And when he hands me the clipboard, the machine sounds like Pac-Man just died. And I'm like, "Oh God." And his face is like, "Oh." And I'm like, "That's not the look you want your doctor to say, to have." And I'm like, "What is it?" And he was like, "Well, the paper says I am beautiful, I am loved, I have purpose, and basically your body is not registering that any of this is true about yourself." And I was like, "What?" Because like this is what I do for a living. I like try to get people to remember that they have a purpose, that they're loved. And then he said, I want you to do is give me back." He said he has never seen anyone do it while just holding it. Normally they read it and the machine will act crazy. But he took the clipboard back and he just wrote something on the top, and then he hands it back to me. And this time the machine didn't go crazy. And I was like, "What did you write?" And I just saw at the top, he wrote two words, "I will." And I was like, "What is that?" And he was like, "I want you to get in the mirror and look at your eyeballs. And I want you to say, I will that I am beautiful. I will that I am called. I will that I am loved. I will that I have purpose." And he said, "Because your will is 400,000 times stronger than your spirit. And you can actually program yourself with choice, with will, and override any subconscious thing, and then train yourself to a new belief, really." And I was like, "Whoa." It's like, I would love your thoughts on that.
It's good advice. I'm just thinking about it because I'm gonna do that.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know,
it it goes back to that movie with Steve Carell when he would like grow his beard and stuff, and he would look in the mirror and he'd say like, "I am wonderful, I am this, I am that." And it kind of seems like a little bit lame to like talk to yourself in the mirror and say those things about yourself,
yeah,
but that's programming.
yeah,
You get to do that if you want to. And so yeah, it changed everything. It got to be where it became a belief, and I
yeah.
didn't even know there was a problem, but it was a subconscious thing, way on the lower that I wasn't even aware that was going on. Oh, somebody came up with it. Impractical Jokers. Thank you, Tommy Stock. You're the winner. Yes, Tommy Stock 64. Impractical Jokers. That's it. But yes.
I was thinking that people probably have like we all have limiting beliefs. So I think becoming self-aware of what those beliefs are too, and then replacing it with something else, like you said, would be helpful. But I actually used to do that like when I was in nursing school because nursing school is like it was really hard. Well, it's only as hard as you make it, but you have to get like a certain grade. Like it's not like regular school where you can get like a C to pass, right? So I would say stuff like that, like I am graduated, or I like I graduate like the best in my class, stuff like that. And it actually did work. I don't think I was best in my class, but I did really well. So I have done that before, but not recently. I'm gonna try it again.
I think it would be good, right? It's a good reminder for myself too, especially with solar flares and all the things going on, which, someone's also bringing up dreams. During solar flares, you guys go to bed with a journal next to your bed with the intention that you're going to get dreams, because it's a huge time for dreams and visions. So be aware of the images that you're seeing, be aware of what you're dreaming. Ask source before you go to bed, thank you that I'm going to remember my dreams. I'm going to dream. I'm going to dream big, and I'm going to remember when I wake up. And then if you write them down, then basically whatever you focus on, you make room for. And so if you invest in yourself and put, a good steward of what's been given to you, then you get more. And so that's another thing I would suggest during this time of, do you dream a lot?
Not a lot, but recently, like in the past 3 weeks, I've had really weird dreams. Yeah. And they're like, I can kind of tell when they're prophetic dreams, and these ones are like prophetic dreams. So I should write them down. But yeah, totally. I've had really like lucid dreams. It reminds me of the dreams I would have when I was a kid, because I would have such bad night terrors that I learned to like wake myself up in my dream. So I'd like be on the astral plane while I was sleeping. And these dreams remind me of that, but in like a positive way. Yeah.
And there's things that you can use to help in sleep too. Like I really love a supplement that I use called Pro or Sleep Essence. And then there is an oil called Dream Catcher that will just like, that's a biggie. That's one of my faves. So there's definitely a lot of things that we can do to support ourselves in this time. And, we just wanted to hang out with you guys. Oh, she's like, I love your mug. Thank you so much, Jean.
I like it
Positive
too.
vibes. And we are actually drinking tea, like for real. Like we said, bring the tea. We meant it, like for real. So,
Yeah, I
um,
did see.
well, any final words before we hang up for the day? And, just I personally want to say how much I absolutely adore and love you. I love your integrity. I love what you bring to the humanity, to us as humans, to the world. And I always love spending time with you and hanging out with you. And I didn't, I just recently found you, like, I don't know, how long has it been? 4 or 5 months now? And
Yeah, not long.
it was just such I'm like I'm blown away by I'm gonna cry, but I just like value you so much as a friend and as an inspired person the inspired person that you are. Your
Mm.
heart is so pure. You're so loving. You have such beautiful, just a beautiful soul, and I'm not easily impressed or surprised
Aw.
by people in general.
Aw.
Um, you're
I
just
I feel like meeting like you, like the universe kind of brought us together. And like we've had a lot of stuff in common. And like I will thank you, because when I really needed a friend, I didn't know you, and you literally called me and you were there. And I just feel like that says so much, and it says a lot about you, and you've brought a lot to my life. So I want to thank you too. But I don't want to cry because I've been crying so much.
oh, crying again. And look, she sent me this shirt. This is the cutest thing ever. Oh my God. Save
Yeah,
the
save the
children.
children.
Yes, and that's all we want is, we just want peace on earth. And we want all of you guys to remember that you have so much power in you. All of you watching, every single one of you can do things that none of I can't do, Megan can't do. So we love hanging out with all of you guys here because then we get to just feel a little collective, a little more charged. We get to be in love as a group, and then we can hopefully charge up to let us all go back to wherever we are and spread that out to whoever and be a light, be a beautiful, radiant light. And this is a perfect example, my friend here, Megan, of being radiant light. I mean, she honestly, her integrity, I love that word integrity, is to be fully integrated, mind, body, and spirit. And she embodies integrity on a level I haven't seen. She understands the universal laws. And I don't often run into people in your caliber, especially at your age. I don't want to say, whatever, but I am looking forward to even spending more time with you and to finding more people like you on the planet, and all of you guys watching too. Like, I am just so blessed by all of you who have come into our field tonight. and who encourage us and love us. And you guys, I see you encouraging one another, even in the chat. And, this kind of stuff just warms my heart because there's so much going on, and I don't think everybody, I know for a fact, everybody doesn't know what goes on behind closed doors of every single person's life. And
It's true.
of course, I know what goes on in mine, and there's been a shitstorm of stuff happening this last a week or so, and it caused me, even when I went out, I had an IV yesterday, and I was literally like looking at people in the parking lot, and just seeing everyone, and I'm thinking that person is going through this, and this person's going through that, and this person's going through that, and they're all just walking around with their pile of things that they're going through, and yet they're still getting up and doing their things.
Yeah.
And all of you have your own version, and I just applaud you all for
Showing up. And I think, like, I want to add too, like, everyone sitting here or like watching us, like, has their own like special, unique frequency that not anybody on this planet can mimic. So if you find that, right, find that frequency, and that makes the whole of one, because we are all one of source. But you can only do it until you find your own frequency, your own unique energy, right? And then that's when you start to build unity consciousness and we come together. So I like, the best way to do that is to be yourself, and then other people see that and they want to be themselves too. So, and you can do it through laughing, and my shirt, God wins. So that's the ending to the story. you know?
Yes, and we have many new beginnings and many new, like everyone's crying now. All these people are saying we're crying too, and hugs. And we give you all virtual hugs wherever you are. And can I just encourage everybody out there to remember that a lot of people are going through a lot, and to just be kind. Be kind on social media, be kind to people in person. When you go out, smile at people at the gas station. And if you can, just say, have a good day. And even in customer service, I had to call Cox today because the storm took the internet out and I wasn't even sure I could do this. And I called the guy, and like we're talking, and I was like, how are you today? Like I always ask people in customer service, even if it's at a checkout, I'm always like, how are you? And people are always so surprised that I even ask. And sometimes they even say like, you know what, thank you for asking, because they're just in this job, and they're probably mostly getting complaints or whatever. And I make sure to call them when someone's doing something good and say, you know what, that was the best freaking burger I ever had in my entire life. Thank you so much. Or doing such a great job or whatever. I just really encourage you guys to, because you don't know what people are going through, to be a light, to love on someone, take an extra minute to smile or hug someone, and just be a light to wherever you are. And I know many of you are doing it automatically. That's what you do because you're amazing. And but just a little reminder, especially in this like heightened thing, like what can we do? And you got anything else to say before we pop off today? Love the ending. Peace to
Yeah,
humanity.
I just think spreading love, loving yourself first, because a lot of us forget to do that. And then I think like we did a great show with, hints and tips, and maybe just cutting people a break every once in a while. Maybe people are having a bad day, and just continue on your path and finding your who you are and your purpose. That's where true happiness lies. And then when you're doing that, you become in service to yourself through other by helping other people, right? Like it's a give and take. And that's how you heal the world. And that's what we're going to do. I'm determined.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
that's what we are doing, all of us together. Like, thank
Yeah.
God. And anyway, I adore you. I adore all of you. Thank you for hanging out with us in this little bit. Would you do me a favor? If you're not subscribed, definitely hit that subscribe button. Definitely hit the like button. Definitely share it with someone that may need this little, pick me up. Just because I do know that there are a lot of people hurting. I have this consultations all day long today with hurting people. I had some really good radiant ones too, but I do know that there are some people hurting. And so if you can send this out, and this is going to be a tool where people can listen and maybe adjust some things, and or decide I'm going to put some fun music on, or I'm going to go watch something funny, or I'm going to smile at someone today. That's what I would love. I would invite you guys to spread this, because we can use social media to be an uplifting thing and to raise vibration and not be the opposite. So if you're going to send a link to somebody, let it be a positive one, and
Yeah.
let it be this one. I think this one was a positive one. So
Yeah. I agree. Thank you for having me, and love you guys.
love you guys too. You guys have a great week. Talk soon. Bye bye.
Bye.